Good morning, yo strangers. I'm having to watch how close I am to the microphone because I've seen some comments over the last week. People are like, I hear everything fine until you start talking, and then I about jump out of my seat. So I'm going to try to use my inside voice. I didn't realize the microphone was that good. How was everyone's weekend? Mine went way too fast. Old DT Driver saying he wants to crawl back into bed. Well, you don't really have that option. How's it going? I see you. Hey, Nana Banana. Nicey Marie made it in. Hey, Stacy B. How are you doing? Well, before I get to the show, you know the routine. Hey, Angel. You know the routine. Let's take a second. I'm not even going to talk about the Chiefs and Bills yesterday. Pretty upset. A few months ago, I said if Taylor Swift messes up my season, I'm going to pull a Tanya Harding on that knee. Tell you what, I'm getting so sick of that crap. These stupid, stupid mistakes. And it's all because Travis Kelce couldn't wait till after the season to get his stinger wet. Talk about selfish. Let's take a second and tell everyone good morning. Again, I'm so glad everyone's here. Don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger. We have plenty of places to talk and keep up for real. You know, I'm going to hunt you down if I don't see you for a while. All right, over the weekend, our friends in Tennessee had quite the scare. I'm all too familiar with tornadoes. All too familiar. As you know, we had 3 hit us over the summertime and didn't have any electricity for a good 4 or 5 days. And that's when the temperatures were a nice, balmy 108. We have plenty of friends in Tennessee. Speaking of, where's Trevor and Muscles Asses? Where'd they go? Gonna have to text them. Was anybody affected by this tornado that's in here? And this was a bad, bad one. I can't think of a good one. All right. When you're in Oklahoma, they're like, oh, that's a baby tornado. It only tore up a couple of barns and threw some cows around. But when they destroy a school and other things, then we say that's a bad one.
Tony, what are you seeing out there now?
Well, so in the words of some of the people that we talked to at the church and this fine arts center, they say it's just heartbreaking. The power is out in this area, and it has been since the storm rolled through. But just take a look at this damage that has ripped this school apart and flooded the Walnut Missionary Baptist Church here on Walnut Grove Road. The Clarksville School of Fine Arts took most of the damage here. And the people who work at both of these buildings, they left not long ago, but you can still see the left behind items as they try to pick up the pieces and save whatever they can. We're told this building is about 2 years old, the school, but the church has been here for over 150 years. Now, the church doesn't have a lot of outside structural damage, but they do say that most of the damage is on the inside. It's completely flooded, and they say much of what's inside is just hanging on by a small thread. We actually spoke to a deacon of the church who says that they've never seen anything like this in the area. And the arts director for the school says that they're just having to build from scratch. Both of them say there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this area. And the damage is not just confined here. It's also across the street at a cemetery where a lot of debris and structural damage has pretty much blew over into that cemetery from about maybe 3 miles away. We found a Zaxby's drive-through window that was actually blown into that cemetery, and we're told that Zaxby's is far away from where this area is.
Yeah, the Zaxby's drive-through window they found in the cemetery. Now, this has happened around here before. One of the weirdest things with a tornado is someone about 20 miles away from Catoosa, Oklahoma, found a class jacket, a high school like Letterman's jacket, in their yard. Now, around Oklahoma, when it's raining chicken, they count their blessings. They're like, this is great. I don't care about the tornado, because if you live in Tornado Alley, you get used to it. But that had to really freak some people out when the drive-through window from the chicken restaurant got relocated 3 miles away.
We're told that Zaxby's is far away from where this area is, over, again, 3 miles away near a Walmart. So a lot of damage, they say, needs to be cleaned up. Of course, we're going to continue to stay out here and let you know all the latest that we see out here. But most of them say they'll be back in the morning to continue to try and assess the damage. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Tony, thank you so much for that update. Of course, we have other crews working their way around Clarksville as well. We'll try to get you updates from them as soon as we can. But we also want to pass along that Clarksville police say a shelter has been set up for people impacted by the storms. It is located at Northeast High School on Trenton Road, as Henry mentioned just a moment ago. And the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office also says a temporary shelter has been set up at the Mosaic Church on Garrettsburg Road. That's for any residents who were displaced in that area. Of course, lots of people are still without power tonight and will be for several hours. Clarksville's electric utility CDE Light Band says at least 17,000 people are without power in Clarksville. And Cumberland Electric Membership Corporation is reporting around 1,500 are without power in the county. So, of course, we will continue to monitor that as well.
I feel your pain. I truly do. I'm going to get the address of that shelter, send some water over, because we know when you don't have utilities, sometimes people don't have water. It was harder on us the day we didn't have water than the collective week of no electricity. Joyce lives in Clarksville. Honey, I'm so sorry. Have you gotten your utilities back yet? And thank goodness you're safe. Thank goodness you were spared. And at times like this, we know something else that we have to do. We have to certainly lock up the house because people are running chaotic. No liquor store is safe in Oklahoma when a tornado has blown through. It is the truth. They decide to go get themselves some five-finger discounts. All right, let's get to the comments from the last show, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about the uppers. There are several of them. So as I'm going through the comments, let me know, who do you think Candace refers to as an upper in this horrible situation? I've got a few. Here we go, our friend Tracy G. By the way, I love it when you guys leave comments. I want to know what you're thinking, new thoughts you're having. So yeah, leave me a comment, because I can't always catch everything in chat. If you're listening on the replay, please leave a comment. Tracy G said, in my opinion, Don and Tim tried to get Tim to be the media manager for the Michael Vaughn family, so they, as in Tim, looked more credible. Good luck on that. Thank God Brandy was smarter than that. That was always such a peculiar situation to me, that out of nowhere, Tim Mullen reaches out to Brandy Neil and offers his services. Whatever those services might be, because I just, maybe I'm ignorant, but I just don't, I don't see that he's done a damn bit of good for the case of Summer Wells. Now, I think about when Dawn said to Brandy, we have been trying to get a hold of you, but people don't want us talking to you. It got my brain going that maybe he meant Tim tried to get a hold of her and she didn't even reply. It wasn't people. It was basically the fact that her and Tyler respect law enforcement. They follow their lead. Good call. And didn't feel like they needed Tim. So this is a little clip from the lab. You know our friend Josh, sub up, when Dawn was so horrible to Brandy.
Give me 1 second.
But anyways,
Don, hold on a second. Have you met Brandy Neil?
no, I haven't.
She has a missing
Mr.
child.
Wells,
Oh, really?
Yeah, go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Mr. Wells, my name is
Yep.
Brandy Neil. I
Good
am
to meet
Michael Joseph Vaughn's mama.
Oh, okay. We tried to get a hold of you before, but people kept us from talking to you.
All right. And there it is. That's where he's talking to Brandy. Because, well, it seems to me that one of the uppers, as in Tim Mullen, reached out to be the media manager for the Vaughn family. And who knows? Brandy could have left him on read. She could have just said no. But Dawn says right there, we tried to get a hold of you. When I first heard this, I thought, no, you didn't, Dawn. And she checks her own messages. People aren't in her inbox controlling it. She answers her own messages. She answers her own phone. Listen again to how he said it. I think Tracy G is definitely onto something.
No, I haven't.
She has a missing
Mr.
child.
Wells,
Oh, really?
Yeah, go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Mr. Wells, my name is
Yep.
Brandy Neil. I
Good
am
to meet
Michael Joseph Vaughn's mama.
Oh, okay. We tried to get a hold of you before, but people kept us from talking to you. They didn't want us talking to you. Well, through some certain YouTube, they would not let us get in touch with you.
Sir, I understand your feelings about all of the YouTubers and everything. I just came outside for a quick break. I'm at work right now. So,
I feel sorry
Sure.
for you. We prayed for you because I know what you've been going through too. But
I'm not a minister, not a preacher. I have no theology training. I have a feeling Dawn and Candace's prayers don't make it past the mailbox on Ben Hill. God knows they're nasty. God knows they're nasty.
Mr. Wells,
yeah,
your beautiful daughter.
yeah, I know.
She deserves the help. And I know, I understand your feelings on YouTubers. Our family has been through the ringer as well, sir.
Right? I know you have.
And I understand what you and Candace have been going through. I get it. I will tell you that the Cold Case Foundation, they are just as respectable as the FBI, sir.
Okay, well,
They have been very, very helpful, and I understand your reservations with Mr. McDonough, and that's all of what you guys have gone through and everything. Whatever. My personal feelings with the Cold Case Foundation, with our law enforcement, and the FBI, the Idaho State Police.
Right.
They have been helpful, sir.
Okay.
I promise you. Monkey has been missing 641 days, and we are getting answers as horrible as they are and as slow as they're coming. We're getting answers.
Right.
So please, you and Miss Candace, please consider.
We will consider it.
Consider.
No doubt.
And
look at Josh's face. You can see his heart is breaking with what is going on. But Brandy asked to come up. She wasn't set up or anything like that. Listen, yeah, he should use the Cold Case Foundation. He doesn't even have to talk to Chris. There's many people that work for that foundation, but they're going to ask questions that he doesn't want to answer. Like, after Candace dropped off Hunter, what all went on that afternoon? They're not going to talk about that. Dawn, what time did you get home? Candace says she doesn't know what you were doing that day. She also texted one of her friends saying that you were home at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is much different than being at work an hour away. Don himself has said we might not have been paying attention. You see, these are things they're going to have to ask is, well, who was home? Friday, it will be 2.5 years since Summer Wells disappeared. I would love it if something breaks open in the next few days, but Candace has already told us. Back in August, she said 2.5 years going on 3. What is that supposed to mean?
And all you have to do is talk to the TBI and talk to Hawkins County, correct?
Well, we can talk to them, see what they say about it, and see if they want their help or whatever. That's no problem. But I mean,
I wouldn't leave their door, sir. And my personal opinion, I would not leave their door. If I could find every possible way. I've been down the private investigator avenue as well. Our family has. We've done many private investigations and worked with law enforcement alongside of it. So
well, I get it. We're trying everything we can. We're doing what we can. I mean, I'm very limited as what I can do. I have to work for a living.
they don't.
What an a-hole. We're trying everything we can. I'm very limited because I have to work. She's at work. She's at work. TBI answers that phone 24 hours a day, and the FBI damn sure does. How come he is not talking to them regularly? Listen to that. I gotta work. I gotta work. She's at work.
Oh,
Well, I get it. We're trying everything we can. We're doing what we can. I mean, I'm very limited as what I can do. I have to work for a living.
they don't charge a damn dime, sir. Not a dime. They, with your permission, and you asking for the Cold Case Foundation, and no, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a cold case. They help with active investigations as well. I'm sitting here as an advocate for my missing son. I'm telling you right now, sir.
I'm listening.
And I want your daughter home.
Well, I do too.
So I have to get back to work. I
Well,
just wanted to.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really
I
appreciate
just, y'all take care of yourselves, and I'm praying for Summer.
it. I appreciate it, and we're praying for you. Thank you. And bye.
Dismissive and rude. Rude. But you know what's not rude? Porky Pig just gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. And so did our friend Pat K before the show even started. Grab your umbrellas. And again, thank you so much, Tracy G, for that comment, because it was definitely got my got the hamster on the wheel in my little brain moving. Jessie Essex said, she gave me 2 timestamps we're going to go through. These sort of clips will really come back and bite them in the butt when they are charged and convicted for crimes against their own children. Now, we don't know what crimes, we don't know if they are responsible for her disappearance, but we do know there is severe neglect. If there wasn't, the boys would not have been taken. This for their own protection and all these different stories. Old Kathy, the friend, already spilled the beans, and it's exactly what we all assumed. Anyhow, she said, secondly, I want to thank you for including the entire clip when Candace said she had to put Summer on the side. I had not recalled her exact words, and I was asking around recently to no avail. I appreciate your work. You are so welcome. I appreciate you and efforts. The section of this video where the statement was made, and she gave me, like I said, 2 timestamps. So we're going to look at them. This is the first clip she's talking about.
Number 10, her social media posts.
You told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.
Disturbing. Would you want to be a defense attorney and show that to a jury? I wouldn't. Here's another clip she was talking about. Jody Sue was probably sleeping.
Number 5, she had to put Summer on the side.
You know, and I don't like saying this, and I don't want to say this at all, but I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys because they're still here, it's still living, it's still in foster care, and I don't want to do that.
She said it. These are her words. We know her voice. I hate to say it, but I have to put Summer on the side because the boys are alive and in foster care. Well, you tell me, what do you think she has done to concentrate on the well-being of her sons? Maybe the uppers are helping her with that. And most parents we can multitask. When you have more than one child, you learn to prioritize their needs. What is she, some kind of mob person? Jody Sue was probably sleeping.
Number 5, she had to put Summer on the side.
You know, and I don't like saying this, and I don't want to say this at all, but I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys because they're still here, it's still living, it's still in foster care, and I don't want to do that.
What makes her? She said it. And Diana Howery just gifted 10 Crime Lines and Lives memberships. Please go check out our members' lives. Look at the community tab. You'll see many of them that are just members only. And don't forget, we have our Christmas special next Tuesday. Our Meet the Moderator is Chloe. Thank you again, Diana. Okay, back to our comments. Shelley Lee said, Candace had so much more to do with it than people think, in my opinion. You better believe it. And in my opinion, the only thing saving her from the YouTube streets is the fact that she has laid lower than a snake's belly for almost 2.5 years. She's got time for new phones, traveling out of state, water parks. She's got time for that. Candace's goulash. She's got time for all that. But she has treated the disappearance of her granddaughter totally different than the disappearance of her daughter. And that has me, in my mind, put her on the sus bus. Okay, Christy Vaught. She said, I don't mean to be rude, but is it that hard to read the comments? Well, and I'm not picking on Christy. I just want everyone to understand. Again, I'm not picking on this lady, but I just have to say that, we have a pretty active chat in here. There's a lot of people have a lot of things to say. I put the link up if anybody wants to come up and give me their thoughts. And if I miss one of your comments, if I miss a comment that you really want me to see, feel free to email me or come in early to the chat. I mean, the show's every day at 9 a.m. Central. Come in early because we have some great combos before the show even starts. So no, I would never purposely just ignore someone's comment. And I hate that it happens. I really hate that it happens. I also hate that this happened. It's everywhere. It's on Tim's channel. It's been shared in other places. As you just heard, Candace, this is from our She Doesn't Go in the Woods show. Well, we know she goes in the woods. We know that. She went camping with Kathy all during the summer of 2022. Obviously, there's woods around. We saw many, many, many pictures of her and the kids and Candace in the woods. But the day of June 15th, she said, I don't go in the woods. I don't go in the woods because I'm scared of the bears and the snakes and even the coyotes. Well, okay. Well, I think we put that to rest. All right. Someone that I consider to be one of the uppers that Candace is talking about made this video. And it was put on Tim's channel. And I cannot figure out where yet another upper that would be Tim, where he's going with a few things. We're going to talk about that after we go through this because I really do not think this should have been put out and it should have been so publicized. Jesse Essex, I just highlighted your comment from the last show. She said, Tim is an upper. That's my guess. I think there's something very strange with that situation. Very strange. We will definitely get to that.
Josie, Wyatt, and Waylon, in case you are watching this, I want you boys to know that you have been and will continue to be in our prayers. We care so much about you and want to share some encouragement. These cards are signed by people who miss you in hopes that your trusted caseworker will deliver them. The good part is, whether you receive them or not, you have all the promises you need in God's Word. That's what I want to share with you right now. The first promise is for Waylon. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46, verse 1. Later in the same chapter,
Sylvia said, I pray they are not watching. Odds are they're at school and they don't watch this channel. But they definitely can see that this was posted on the Find Summer Wells Facebook page, which does everything but Find Summer Wells. They know that Tim has a channel. They know that Robin has a channel. Again, this is my opinion. But this constant hounding of these boys and ignoring the gag order. I'm not in the gag order. But the parents are, and I would think anyone in their circle would be considered in it as well. But this constant hounding of these 3 boys that, in my opinion, again, deserve a second chance at life is an intimidation. It is an intimidation tactic. And I'm not down with it. I'm not cool with it. But I agree with you 100%, Sylvia.
Chapter, it says, "Be still and know that I am God. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge." So guess what? You don't have to be strong. His power is perfect in weakness. God is your strength. For Wyatt, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord himself goes before you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8. So your heavenly Father will never fail you or abandon you. No matter what happens, don't be discouraged. He's got you. And to Josie, as the oldest, I'm sure you put an extra burden on yourself. Jesus says, cast all your anxiety.
Now, why would the oldest brother be putting an extra burden on himself? He's being taken care of. I don't like this. I think something needs to be done about this. There is a gag order, and this is on the Meteor Manager's channel. And it was promoted on the Find Summer Wells Facebook page. True Crime Junkie, welcome. She said, I almost thought we were listening to Lori Vallow Daybell. Isn't that something that people that get extremely wrapped up in one faith, they almost adopt a different voice? Look at Michelle Duggar. She has that baby voice. When my boys see something inappropriate and we're walking around the Goodwill, we yell Nike so they move their eyes to an appropriate place at the Goodwill. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
He's on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. My friend, if you have anxieties about anything, you are in good company. But God doesn't want us to live with anxiety. He says, be anxious for nothing. And then he tells us how. He says, but in all things, by prayer, with thanksgiving, give me your requests. And in exchange, God promises to give us peace, peace that passes all understanding. Yes, your Father, God, promises that when you pray to him and praise him, he will give you peace and keep your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. That is comforting to me, and I hope it is to you too. From the beginning of your sister's disappearance, we have been casting our cares on Jesus. Your friends and family and church family, all the people at Awaken, have been leading prayers for you guys continually. We care for you boys, so we have been laying your names at his feet. He knows your names and the number of hairs on your heads. You are his treasure. Even now, we cast all our anxieties on our Heavenly Father. We encourage you boys to do the same. God can handle it. He can handle our frustrations, our anger, our bitterness, whatever we have. He knows us anyways. We can't hide anything from him. So just tell him what you're feeling. Talk to him throughout your day like he's your best friend, because he is. Until your sister is found safe, she will be the focus. But in everything we do, in our prayers and our thoughts, we remember you boys too, and we are praying for God to bless you. Remember when I was trying to take your photo and you insisted on holding the Bible as a prop? I tried so hard to get you all to just let me take your picture, but you wouldn't let go of the Bible.
Okay. On the Daily Double, I'm going to take 2,500 for shit that never happened. Do you know why? Because all of the children at the church had the exact same picture, not just the Wells children, and every one of them were by the Christmas tree holding the Bible. Are you kidding me? But we're supposed to believe that the children were like, no, Robin. Robin, no, I have to hold this Bible. not one of the toys that I just opened, or a cookie. Really? No. Every child has the same picture.
Even little Summer insisted on holding it. I was just thankful to get her to sit still long enough for a picture, so I gave up on trying to remove the Bible. Now I look back and wish that we all cherished God's word that much. You were such a good example to your little sister, and I know God is still using you now. It's our hope that you will receive these special Bibles along with your cards. We pray that you can read them together and continue strong on this journey. We don't know what tomorrow holds, but we know who holds tomorrow, right? I'm not sure what all has changed since you left your home here. You might have even stumbled a few times and made mistakes. You might have gotten angry.
Why are there Bibles with, again, their names on it? Putting that out there again. She is the doxer of the year. She's got them laying on a piece of driftwood, and it says, I can't read the top of it, Young Scholar Study Bible. This is from the teachings of Ellen White. Why not just hand them a good old King James version and let them do their own studying, or leave it up to the family that they're living with and they can teach them a little about faith?
We don't know what tomorrow holds, but we know who holds tomorrow, right? I'm not sure what all has changed since you left your home here. You might have even stumbled a few times and made mistakes. You might have gotten angry at God. I've been there. And God understands your feelings more than anyone. You might have doubted that God even exists. I think we all have wondered about that a few times, if we're being completely honest. God is such a great big God that He understands our weaknesses and loves us regardless. He doesn't see us as we are, but as we will be. He knows the end from the beginning. He's already there. And I know that the God that began a good work in you will complete it. Rest in Him. Stay close to Him every step of the way.
What kind of code are we talking in? For one, we're panning around to the water. I'm not liking this. Nothing about this is making my stomach feel easy, if you know what I mean. So we're panning the water. Odd. It's like we're speaking in code. What chore does God have for the boys? Dana Ellis said, Driftwood is dead. Summer has no Bible in the picture. What are they trying to say? Just Me said, even Satan knows scripture. You better believe it. Satan knows the Bible better than Billy Graham when he was preaching it. What is she trying to say? What chore are they needing to finish for God?
About it a few times, if we're being completely honest. God is such a great big God that He understands our weaknesses and loves us regardless. He doesn't see us as we are, but as we will be. He knows the end from the beginning. He's already there. And I know that the God that began a good work in you will complete it. Rest in Him. Stay close to Him every step of the way. He will be light for your path. Study His word and let His words be your guide. We love you boys, your parents and your precious sister, and we miss you all so much. But we understand that God has you right where you need to be at this time for His plan and purposes. And we praise Him for that. We trust God with you and with your sister too. May He bless you at each step, day by day, step by step. May He be your guide. May you continually trust in Him wherever He leads. Boys, Jesus is coming soon to rescue us all and take us to our forever home. Trials will come before that glorious day, and bad stuff is going to happen. You know, He might not deliver us from our problems, but he promises to be there with us through them. So be strong in the strength of the Lord. Remember that you are loved infinitely more than you can ever imagine, and Christ would have died just for you. Jesus would have suffered and died for any one of you. Seriously, just for you, Josie. Just for you, Wyatt. Just for you, Waylon. Oh, how he loves us. Always come to him. Always hope in him. Always believe in him. His promises are sure for your lives. Big hugs to you all.
And there's findsummerwells.com at the end, where Tim has brought up the boys more than he brings up Summer. Dot said she's telling them to stay quiet. That's what a lot of people are saying. Britt said she sounded passionate when she said he will complete it. Complete what? This is so creepy. I don't like it. I don't. There is a gag order. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. They need to be left alone. This is a manipulation tactic to me. This is an intimidation tactic to me. It came out last week out of Tim's mouth, right here. He sent this to Dawn on Dawn's Facebook. Actually, it was in November, sorry. He said, "Had this tonight in honor of you and your birthday." Woo! Happy birthday to Dawn from Tim. "It reminds me of the ones we had in Connecticut back in the 80s. If I remember, you paid, but then didn't have any gas money. It was a 3-mile hike." I've said on this show many times that way before Summer went missing, Tim knew the family. Now, the only reason that I know this is because Dawn, who, yes, he tells some Wendy's. He does. When I said something about Tim, he corrected me without me asking, and he said, "We go way back." I go, "Oh," I was really taken aback because I thought that he came along after Summer disappeared. And he said, "No, we go way back." So all of that, how he had just met Candace at the parade, and he stopped in his tracks as if he saw Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis and said, "There's the mother. There's the mother. Oh, there's the mother." Tim also made a comment last week that there may not even have been a crime committed. This person commented to the findsummerwells.com page, which we know Tim runs, said, "This is exactly why you shouldn't keep pushing your hashtag for Amber Alert families," and sent an article to him. Good old Tim says, "Broaden your thinking. A family is much larger than the one guilty. And many times the family, an extended family, have nothing to do with the situation. Many times it is not even a crime that has been committed." Tim has been leaning towards the wandering off theory for several weeks. My thing with the wandering off theory is between the agencies, the dogs, the drones, the special airplane that the director of the TBI had to get permission from their state Congress to use, there would be some sign of Summer Wells. So now we're going back to that, because the only way that a crime would not be committed is if she truly just wandered off of her property and an accident happened that fast. I don't know. You all tell me. Also, this came out, and I don't want anyone bothering this man or anything, but back to the uppers. When Candace said that Tim wiped Dawn's phone clean, which he said that he downloaded the information into his computer, I thought, well, now how does this dumbass know how to do this? Well, his brother is a police officer in Mississippi that specializes in digital evidence. He's in the digital evidence unit. So it is very possible that Tim could have asked his bubby, how do I take care of this phone? Interesting to me. South Haven. Stacy B said where? South Haven. And this is truly his brother because they were both named in obituary. It has Timmy Boy from Kingsport, and it has his bubby listed from where he lives. You can't tell me this isn't just a little suspicious, and I am in no way, shape, or form saying that his brother directed him to do anything illegal. No way. I've had a lot of comments about this basically adoption agency that goes on throughout the church. I'm really not leaning that way because I can't ignore the neglect, the abuse, and, well, Candace and Dawn's history. But I did come across, and some was sent to me, some creepy things from their church. So we're back to the uppers. This is called God's Adoption Agency. God's Adoption Agency. They reference this scripture from the book of James. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. Okay, well, I totally understand the scripture. I totally understand the scripture, but when people are trying to sway a congregation and they start cherry picking scriptures as opposed to putting them in context, it's a little much for me. I don't like it. I think it's a manipulation tactic. Listen to what this SDA minister, who, by the way, I did invite to come on the show, said about God's Adoption Agency.
Church. I want us to think about this. Because sometimes at church we say, oh, isn't that nice? You got a little ministry for, an orphanage over here. Or, oh, something for the widows over here. We got a little ministry over here. James tells us, if you want to know that you are standing in the will of God, if you want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that your religion is pure and faultless, and that God is standing behind you 100%, as he stood behind George Mueller, what should we do? Look after orphans and widows. Could it be that George Mueller disregarded even Jesus' counsel to draw up budgets, to send out lists of what he needed for the orphanages, but God's heart was beating so intensely for the thousands, over 10,000 children on the streets of London, that he worked miracle after miracle, of which I've even heard, I believe here at Markham Woods in our offering call, stories of how God worked in miraculously providing for George Mueller to take care of these children. Could it be a...
All right, I'm not getting into the George Mueller situation, but it is a common practice that they have where they will adopt children. They will use the church to do it. Okay. I don't know what to say about this. First of all, I want to say that I am not speaking ill of the Seventh-day Adventist Church at all. When I speak about a certain religion on this channel, I'm speaking about the people that are possibly taking it a little too far, okay? And in this case, they are not God's adoption agency, all right? They're not God's adoption agency. If somebody wants to adopt a child, then there's a way to do that, in my opinion. Just like I wouldn't want anybody picking on my faith. I'm Baptist. Not going to get into all that. I think they're taking things a little too far. We just saw the creepy video that Robin had to bless us with, which seems like we're talking in code with the baby talk. Now listen to this, God's adoption agency.
Across the spectrum of cultures, across the time, different epochs that we live in. George Mueller lived over 170 years ago in England, a very different culture than we have now. And yet God did miracle after miracle for him. Why? James says that if you want to know you're standing in the will of God, and that with your an absolutely clear conscience, sometimes we can doubt about, well, is this God's will for me to do this or that? And we have doubts. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's God's will for me to do that. Maybe it's move here, have this job, have this spouse, whatever. There's one thing you know that you never have to doubt about whether it's God's will or not, and that's to take care of orphans and widows. You never have to question it. It's here in the Word of God. You don't have to go, well, let me go in and pray and think about this one. No, God's told us, if you want to see God act in your life, start taking care of people who are oppressed. If you want to see the miraculous powers of God in your life, look after these groups of people. Why? Because that's what God is doing.
Okay, a lot of people are asking who George Mueller is. I'll just go through the Wikipedia briefly. As he mentioned, way before our time, Christian evangelist and the director of the Ashley Down Orphanage in Bristol, England. He was one of the founders of the Plymouth Brethren movement. Later, during the split, his group was called the Open Brethren. He established 117 schools which offered Christian education to more than 120,000. Sounds great to me. He offered to work with Jews in England through the London Society for Promoting Christianity Amongst the Jews. He arrived in London on the 19th of March that year, but by mid-May he fell ill and did not think that he would survive. He was sent to a town I cannot pronounce to recuperate, and while there he met Henry Craik, who became his lifelong friend. So they basically would find these oppressed children and find homes for them. Well, you can't really compare 2023 to 1823 now, can you? It just doesn't make sense. We say it quite a bit. Back in my day, when I was in school, we can have conversations about it. But you can't exactly compare another century to what's going on now. It's crazy.
So it's not just something nice, not just something, a little nice ministry you guys got going on over there. Oh, that's so sweet. It's an essential part of our religion. It's what it means to be a Christian. To take the name of Christ and not be involved in that is defaming his name before the world. It's part of who we are. You know, when the disciples asked Jesus, how should we pray? What two words did Jesus start off with? Our Father. You see, God could have turned his back on this planet. He's got other galaxies. It's just one little tiny speck in his whole universe. And when Adam and Eve sinned, he could have been like, you know what? All right, didn't work out. Let's move on. But he didn't. And he made a way to adopt us back into the family. And if we don't pay attention to other people on this planet that don't have families, about how to get them into either families, foster care, or just taking care of them, we're not really doing what our Father is doing.
Creepy. Creepy. If a child needs to go to foster care, we have a system that takes care of that. We have a system that takes care of that. Christina said, you mean workhouses, farms. They were turned into laborers. That's for sure. And no, I am not suggesting that throughout the church there was some sort of adoption with Summer. But I know a lot of people are leaning that way because of things they have found out that go on in the church that Dawn and Candace attend. This I'm just not down with. I'm not picking on anyone's faith. I don't care if you go to church on Friday night. I don't care if you go on Saturday morning. I don't care if you go on Sunday morning. Doesn't matter what day you want to worship or if you worship at all. This with the slithering snake on his lapel is freaking me the TF off.
We're not really with him. But I like to think of it this way too, because I'm going to go to Isaiah 49. You know, some you might consider more liberal theologians have gone to calling God a woman. And I thought about it this week, you know, referring to God as she and her power. And I thought, you know, theologically, you can make the case for it. Genesis 1 is very clear. When God made mankind in his image, it says it twice. Male and female, he created them. I want you to look at this text from Isaiah 49. God says this, can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has born? The answer is usually no on that one. I see how mothers take care of their children and always think about their children. But the real answer in then a sinful world is yes, it does happen from time to time.
So basically what he is saying, again, we've cherry-picked a scripture. Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has born? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. He goes, yes, it does happen. And from what I read from an article, which comes from their teachings, if they in their congregation come across a mother who doesn't seem well equipped to take care of a child within the church, they will move the child. Am I suggesting that that is what happened? No, but it is a conversation, because when we heard from Leslie at TBI, she said this is a case outside of the norm. Normally, within a few days, we know what direction we're going. Tim is back to the wandering off theory. Then why the hell is there an Amber Alert if she just wandered off her property? Where is she? I don't know about you, but in my church, if we see a family, it doesn't just have to be a mother, struggling in a nice way, somebody will reach out and say, is there something we can do to help you? We don't suggest they give up their kids.
So God says, you know what? Though it may happen, though the mother may forget, I will not forget you. God is the ultimate mother. So I don't want all the women to feel left out here, because the image of God is the male and female. And when we talk about the fatherless, I believe we can include the motherless as well in this. People that need encouragement, need guidance, need clothing, just someone to take care of. And God told humanity, you know what? Your parents may forget you. but I won't.
Not acceptable. How can you try to reason with your congregation and say, your parents may forget you, but I won't, and the church won't? Now we go back to what Robin said when she was talking to Chris McDonough. She said she thought when they showed up, meaning Don and Candace, that they were there for gimmies, handouts. But she said, oh no, they were just there to worship. Well, she took them right under her wing. Hell, she helped remodel their house. I have a very, very hard time believing there is not some sort of weird connection. I don't mean in the disappearance of Summer, but there is something very strange. If I heard this at my church, I would have to excuse myself. And they're talking about all ages. It's not specific to a 2-day-old or a 3-day-old. But this is too creepy for me.
I won't. I'll fight for your rights. I'll fight to clothe you. And when George Mueller kind of disobeys even what my own son said, doesn't have a budget, has no fundraising letters, no list of needs, I will still provide for these kids because I can't forget them. She is great. God is great. Jesus said to his disciples when he left them, he actually uses this analogy. He says, I won't leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Jesus understood that when we become a Christian, when we enter the family of God, when we get baptized into the family of God, we're being baptized into this fantastic worldwide family where we have one Father, one Mother who will always take care of us. I don't believe it's a coincidence at all. About a year and a half ago, I met first with our mission trip committee here at Markham Woods. Markham Woods, if you're new, has had a history of doing mission trips, usually in Inter-America, South America region. So we adopted 2 countries that we were going to concentrate on because we have large contingents here in Markham Woods. One of them was Puerto Rico. So Clinton is our representative for Puerto Rico. Many Puerto Rican families, a beautiful country, beautiful people. We wanted to help out and give our youth a place to do mission trips to. Didn't work out.
All right, call me ignorant, but stay out of it. Stay out of it. If you're a minister and you see someone in your congregation that is having a hard time, find a way to get them clothes, do a toy drive at Christmas, whatever. You heard Dawn earlier in the show talking to Brandy, we're doing everything we can do. Well, showing up to Christmas tree lightings almost 2.5 years later, because you didn't give a shit before, and going on Daisy's panel is not everything that you can be doing. All right, back to the uppers. Because my eyes are not off of Ronnie Lawson. Particularly with what our friend Trevor got in the FOIA request. Now, I'm just going to say it one time so the chat is not derailed with a bunch of take care of yourself and all that we say. Here's the trigger warning, because what came out that Brandon Lawson did is disgusting. It's beyond any adjective that can jump into my brain. All right? Now, let me tell you, the fact that this sex predator is living with the sheriff of Hawkins County makes me ill. Ill. I'm only going to play part of it because I want you to catch it on Trev's channel. It's Trev time.
Department cannot work the investigation because the listed suspect is the son of the current sheriff, Ronnie Lawson, as we know. General Armstrong advised the investigator to contact Hawkins County Sheriff's Department Detective Evans and get the information from him. He contacted him and he advised that they did receive the communication by email. The report states.
Fun fact. We're going to talk about this in the members live. I'm going to play something for you that's going to knock your socks off. Detective Evans is the one that took the report about what is perceived Candace may have done to Hunter. Very inappropriate things. Detective Evans was also on this case. I'm not going anywhere with that. Proof's in the pudding.
Stated that the victim told her boyfriend that her father sexually abused her. The boyfriend then told his coach, who turned in the school principal, who notified the Department of Children's Services. On Wednesday, February 16th, he went to the victim's school and to investigate if the allegations were true. He met with a member of the faculty, and they went to an isolated conference room, had this conversation, and he asked her about these crimes or about these accusations. He introduced himself and advised the reason that he was there. He told her the allegations were that her father had had sex with her when she was 13 years old. Her immediate response was a look of shock, and she gave a very passionate answer of no. She started to explain that he would, if she had any questions, he would, quote, show her the answers. About that time, she became emotional and started to cry, saying that her father was a good man and changed. She said that he had found God and they were planning on going to church counseling and didn't want to lose her dad.
Another church stepping where they don't need to step. We're going to church counseling and I don't want to lose my dad. This is where I draw the line, my friends. Churches do not need to be involved in adoptions, and they damn sure don't need to be involved in criminal investigations.
Again, we're getting into it's going to get harder and harder, guys. Please note, absolute trigger warning. Take care of yourself. Step out if need be. She said that about 4 months prior to this conversation, she had got guilty about it all and went to her mother about it. Her mother had forgiven him, and so had she. She rated that he was a good man and a changed man. He then left the room and gave her time to calm down. As you know, this would be, couldn't even imagine how hard it'd be for her to rehash. Bringing up anything like this, no matter how far later it is it never gets easier to talk about. And he asked to explain how he would show her answers, how she quoted that he would show her answers. He, for example, trigger warning again, please. She went to him one time and asked him if she had an odor. He stuck his hand down the front of her pants, rubbed her, redacted word here, and then he pulled his hand out and informed her of an odor. I mean, just absolutely sickening behavior.
Okay, since the minister at their church, where Ronnie Lawson's, the fruit of his loins, went to church, they said the mother has forgiven him. The daughter, who can't make these decisions, doesn't want to lose her father. Do you think maybe that the minister, knowing about this, I would think that the minister should be a mandated reporter? Do you think that maybe he should be facing some charges? Because if I found out about this and I was going to that church, no way could I go anywhere around that minister again. If you can't protect the children, then you certainly can't do anything for my spiritual well-being. They were in counseling for this. I'm not buying it. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I think you're brilliant. Mama can forgive him all she wants. That doesn't mean the law is going to forgive. This is not a counseling matter. Obviously, everyone involved needs counseling, but counseling's not going to make it go away. This is a situation that needed to be brought to light and the children protected. I agree with Raven. He needs a full ban from this position. And the fact that Brandon Lawson he just served a year. He had 19 years forgiven. Mm-mm.
At that point, she made a statement saying she didn't want her dad to go to prison. He said, I could almost guarantee that he would not go to prison. I did not say anything about him not going to jail. He then also at another time had used his finger on her to show her another sexual answer a sexual question. He physically showed her with his fingers. He also had taught her about oral sex, again, by demonstrating on her. And even once had her attempt it on him. Now, after this conversation with her, the investigator says he knew the complaint was true. He felt it was best to end the discussion and give her time to calm down. He did not know which DCS investigator would be assisting, so he waited to find that out as well. So at this point, he has now found the complaint to be true. So they were going to place a charge of statutory rape by an authority figure or custodial authority over the victim and use the authority to accomplish the sexual, as you can see here. This right here is going to be the key as we go forward. Statutory rape by an authority figure is a Class B felony, and no person who is found guilty of or pleads guilty to the offense shall be eligible for probation pursuant to Code 4035-303 or judicial diversion pursuant to 4035-313. So anyone who pleads guilty or is found guilty on that charge is not allowed to have probation.
Thank you so much, Angel. I love you. By the way, check your mail today. Christine Alaska said, why is she going to Dad for this sick? Because she'd been groomed. That's the only thing I can think of. Funny Face Brenda said, Brandon is not listed as a SO. Why not? I believe he is. Thank you again, Angel. People like this can't be rehabbed. And all the talk in the world at the church isn't going to do anything. Now, there's attorney-client privileges. But if you're in an open counseling session with your minister, why on earth would you not make a call and say, this is what's going on? Someone needs to do something. Thank you, ICU. ICU said Brandon is on the registry. Okay. About had a heart attack. Thank you, ICU. 19 years probation? Come on.
Again, if anyone is caught on this charge and pleads guilty or is found guilty, are not eligible for probation. Now, what you saw on the charging sheet was nowhere did it say that he was initially charged with statutory rape by an authority figure. Yes, the charges were lowered, but never once did they start with this charge. But yet the investigator said he was able to confirm the complaint. Absolutely, and Tracy is right, and I did state that in the beginning. And please note again that Sheriff Lawson did not investigate or give down the sentence. This seems to be a bigger issue than just one person. This seems to be multiple people who completely failed, in my opinion.
Multiple. And I want a big round of applause before we continue this, because Trevor knocked it out of the park getting this. A lot more is making sense to me now. Because no way would Pastor Bud keep this in his office. There would be a police investigation. This was all protecting Brandon, in my opinion. Britt said, so a man who is paid to protect the community is living with a threat to the community. Makes so much sense. That's the uppers for you. Ronnie's protecting his son. You think that he hasn't read all of this? He knows it. Frontward and backward. How many of you would walk through a flood, burning building, you name it, to protect your grandchildren? We're not even talking about children, your grandchildren. Because we all know grandchildren are treated a little differently than our own children. Let me tell you what, old Brandon would have been up Schitt's Creek without a paddle if I was his parent. This needs to be covered on WJHL. They are supposed to be investigative journalists there. They need to let the people of Hawkins County know what they've been voting for. I understand that Ronnie did not do anything to his grandchild, but he certainly, in my opinion, helped with the cover-up to what happened to his grandchild.
Not just the sheriff. But I do believe there were quite a few people who absolutely failed. The TBI was involved. Eventually came back with an agent. They had to get with the TBI. And guys, please be respectful in the chat. Nobody in here is taking up for anyone. It's not this. I mean, this is a tough, heavy topic, and we're all for all different reasons. It's tough to hear these things. I mean, these are minor victims. This is nothing that is easy to talk about, easy to read. So a few people are saying buffering. Are we buffering? Just let me know if you can hear me. We're buffering. Okay. Let's see. We're good. Okay. We're gonna keep going. Chat mods, let me know if you can hear me. Okay. And again, anything I'm reading will also be on the screen, so please feel free to read it as.
Mary, are you saying that Trevor sounds inebriated? My voice, or are you behind in chat and you're listening to Dawn? Because I'm not inebriated. Trevor wasn't when he was doing this show on his channel, Trev Time, but it sounded like he was about to throw up because this is way worse than we even imagined. Way worse. If I had to read through this and do a show, I would have to be 3 sheets to the wind. Amy Lou said none of this was even known to the public until sentence was already handed down. The community wasn't given a chance to protest the decision. Now they want to say, well, it's done already. Yep. Sickening. Sickening.
As well from there, if for some reason on your end you can't hear me that well. So then a DCS investigator got in touch with this investigator to let them know they are going to be on the case as well. And they set up a date and time to have a forensic interview done with the victim. Contact was made with the victim's mother. A call was made to the victim's mother. I apologize. No answer was given, no way to leave a message. The mother had spoken with the DCS investigator later on and confirmed to the investigator they had spoken. And she said that she advised that her husband was staying with his parents for the time being. Now,
Staying with his parents for the time being. Who, whether you're the sheriff or not, I don't care if you're the dog catcher at Tahlequah, Oklahoma, which nothing wrong with that job, who would want that disgusting pile of poop in your house knowing what they've done? Let me tell you something. You can play semantics all day. The law, the law, the law, the law, the law. All it takes is one anonymous phone call to save a child. It's ridiculous. If I was in that church, I'm becoming unglued. Everybody in Tennessee is a mandated reporter. That goes for Ronnie. That goes for Brandon's wife, who has supposedly forgiven him. Doesn't apply to children, teachers, medical staff. This is about a child. This isn't someone talking about cheating on their wife and drinking too much. This is a child. A child. And if the leader of a congregation cannot turn this over to save future abuse, then they don't need to lead that conversation.
Now, we know who his parents are. So if he's staying with his parents, well, we know who he's staying with. During this portion of the investigation, he was staying with his parents. Again, his father was not involved with the investigation as far as overseeing the investigation or anything like that. But regardless, I believe that it is not of the sheriff's, as a sheriff, as an elected official in your county over law enforcement, you should not be.
All right, now this is just a simple Google search. I don't like to play Google lawyer. Is that Brooks on the keyboard? Yeah, I was typing something. If you see right here, who are mandated reporters in Tennessee? Everyone in Tennessee is a mandated reporter under state law. Any person with reasonable cause to believe a child is being abused or neglected must, under the law, immediately report to the Tennessee Department of Children's Services or to local law enforcement. All right, and my search was, is clergy mandated reporters? No reason for the minister to not report this.
He should not be housing him during an investigation into these crimes. A forensic interview was then held. A female agent was assigned to the case from the TBI. A forensic interview was held at the Child Advocacy Center, which is very much standard. A CD of the interview was also collected. So going forward, they would have that. A call was placed to Brandon Lawson following that interview and requesting that he would come in the DA's office for an interview. He advised that he would in the time of 1 o'clock, which was scheduled. On the scheduled date, the suspect did not show up for the interview. He called Agent Cutshaw and told her that his lawyer, Philip Boyd, had advised him not to be interviewed. Agent Cutshaw and Mr. Boyd agreed to talk further on February 25th. And again, this is last year, guys.
I guess my thing with the minister, because Amy Lou said, to be fair, the pastor claimed he wasn't aware of what happened. Who knows? I go back to earlier in the documents where the poor little girl was saying she doesn't want to lose her dad. Her mom has forgiven him and that they're in counseling. So, the mandation of reporting in Tennessee, I can't compare it to any other state, is suspect abuse or neglect. So that's where I stand with it.
This investigation took place in 2022. While at the Child Advocacy Center, they learned that Lawson had met with their pastor for counseling, the family had, and they did go speak to the pastor. All he said is he had given them spiritual counseling, but did not know any facts of the case, and seems he did not want to get involved at all. He said he'd not spoken in depth with any member of the family, the pastor. On Friday, February 25th, the agent informed the investigator that she had spoken with Brandon Lawson's lawyer, and he said that he advised he had no intentions of allowing Brandon Lawson to be interviewed. They then sent over or turned over the CD of the forensic interview for District Attorney General Daniel Armstrong to review. General Armstrong. On March 18th, TBI agent.
Okay, hang on. We'll go back to that. I have to clarify something because I misheard, and I've heard this many times. It's a lot to take in. Dante said she said they were planning to go to counseling. I heard they were in counseling. So I apologize. I don't want to give a bunch of shade to this preacher man if he had no idea. From what I was hearing, they were going to counseling. And I heard the church being brought up a few times. So let's just forget about the church for right now. Speaking of, the man of the hour is in here. If he wants to grab the link. He just finished an exam. We never know from day to day how old Trevor is, but anytime he wants to grab the link, come on up. Come on up, you old stranger.
Advised there was going to be an interview with the victim, and that that this investigator could be there. The victim did not want that initial investigator in the room. And so she had just wanted to speak with the female agent. We're going to get to another tough portion here, so please be prepared for that.
Okay. Trevor, we already gave you a round of applause. You're going to get another one because excellent work getting this FOIA request. I am shocked they did it.
Yeah, thank you, and I am too. It was hard though. I've submitted so many requests, and there was it was too early to get them for a few times. Then it was I didn't have then I needed to provide proof that I lived in Tennessee. It was just over and over again little ticky-tack reasons why I couldn't get the documents. Then finally they were like, give us some time to redact them and we'll get them to you. And then they poorly redacted them. All the redactions on here are mine. You could, if beforehand, you could zoom in and see the things they redacted. So I went through and actually redacted it.
Dang. Talk about irresponsible. Not on your part, theirs. Again, I'm surprised they granted it. And let's just look at the writing on the wall. You live in the area. I'm not going to say where you live. And so to release this about the sheriff's son is beyond brave to do.
It needs to be out. I mean, as we can see, so many things were done all in the same day. I mean, you've covered so many cases. When do we see that? Every part of the court process is done on one day, and nothing is released to the public until afterwards.
Mhm.
Heck, we hear when other people that are on trial or being investigated for things, every court hearing they have, there's cameras in the courtrooms for other people when they go in and the judge says, okay, here's one motion and we're leaving. We hear that. But in a case like this, we heard nothing until everything was done with, because then any public outrage couldn't change the case.
And it seems to me that's what they were trying to avoid. So we get a 28-second clip from WJHL saying Brandon is the son of Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. And from there, nothing. Not going to talk about it.
Yep.
And as you said, it was already done and over. How come his record was sealed to where nobody knew this was going on? I mean, this is just insane.
Yeah, and a lot of information was kept, even when the small pieces came out, a lot wasn't on there. I mean, if you look at the court online, you see the wrong judge, the one that recused himself is listed as the judge, and you missed so much of what happened. It wasn't until we got these documents that so much information was publicly available.
What a joke. And what a disgrace to the justice system. And look, I understand parents loving their children, but you have to love your grandchildren too, do you not? And they gave him what I would call a safe refuge. I'd have kicked his ass out of the state and let the U.S. Marshals come find him. I'd have said, I can't investigate this. This can't be investigated in my office. It's a conflict of interest. At the least, it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, and he housed him. I mean, they didn't investigate, and it even says, that they were informed that Hawkins County cannot investigate, and they didn't. They brought in TBI, but also the district attorney's office investigated. But you can't tell me that the district attorney's office isn't familiar with Ronnie Lawson either. He's the sheriff of one of the counties that they prosecute in.
Yeah.
They didn't have a special prosecutor from outside come in. This was the office of Dan Armstrong, who prosecutes in the county that Ronnie Lawson is the sheriff in.
It's just beyond horrible. It is just beyond horrible. It took me a while because I was in your show listening and I had to click out. I was like, this is too maddening. This is too maddening. And then I go to sleep early. I'm like one of the golden girls. I have dinner at like 5:00 in the afternoon. I'm usually asleep by 6. But anyway, I came back to it and I was even more fired up. And I'm also fired up that our friend Angel gifted more Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Let's thank our friend, Angel P. This is beyond sick. Canvas and Crime, thank you so much. She's gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lions memberships. If you're not a member, it's because you're not allowing gifts, because this is the most generous chat there's ever been. All right, so not to state the obvious, what are you thinking about this in relation to the Summer Wells investigation or lack thereof?
Well, I think it definitely casts doubt. I mean, when you've got and this is all happening around the same time. This investigation is going on deep into an investigation into what happened to Summer, and you've got the sheriff overseeing the investigation. And even though you've got TBI, FBI, everybody involved, the investigation sticks with the locality. Other investigative bodies assist. That's how these cases work. FBI doesn't take it; it's not a federal crime. TBI has no need to come and take a case from Hawkins, so they assist. So you've got the lead locality investigating. Meanwhile, he's housing his son, who is now a registered sex offender and was being investigated for sexual crimes against the sheriff's granddaughter. He housed him during this investigation. He did not do the investigation, but he knew this was going on. So you've got that, and you've got the lead prosecutor, the prosecutor's office, willing to give this to somebody like this. Who's to say what they're going to do to somebody if they're found responsible for Summer's disappearance? If they can't properly handle this case, and I'm not diminishing anything in this case, it's horrific, but if they can't handle this, who's to say they can handle Summer's case?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because in this case, you have the sheriff's granddaughter that's telling him everything that's going on. If you can't investigate that, and also very interesting, Detective Evans, who is one of the investigators, is also the one that took the report about the very inappropriate relationship, perceivably, between Candace and Hunter. So if the sheriff's granddaughter is not important, then who's to say any other child in that county is?
And
The crimes against the sheriff's own granddaughter were horrifically covered up. So what's to say the other children in Hawkins County are important? We already had the reward fund heist, which was a damn joke.
Yeah, that's something I've never seen. A reward fund just disappear when there's no answers as to what happened to the child.
Got to be kidding me. I look at the Bardstown investigation, and it's still rocking and rolling. It's hot as hell on that investigation. The FBI stepped in because, there was just seemed to be, they needed some help. I'll just put it that way. I won't get into that until tomorrow. All Ronnie has to do is make the call, and we know he won't. Why?
Exactly. And I'm very much pro law enforcement, pro good law enforcement. But I have to ask, if you're in a position like that and you can't ask for that help, if that's the case here, or just in any case, I'm just speaking generally, if you can't ask for that help, then maybe that's not the position you need to be in, because those positions come down to serving the people and protecting the people. It's not, can you solve this case? It's, can we get this case solved? You know, it's not, can he locate Summer, or can this person? It's, can Summer be located? And it's about answers for these victims, or for the missing, or for any victim of crime, or any crime in your jurisdiction. But that's what matters. It's not about you, it's about the people. And so if that's what's happening here, then that's a shame, because Summer and anybody else that has lived in this county deserves full support from their law enforcement.
Okay, I have a question from Funny Face Brenda. She said she was a minor. Why not listed as an offender against children? At Trevor, please make it make sense. I saw that Brandon is on the registry. That's not something you're going to get, out of. Is he not on the registry?
He is. He's listed as violent, but not against children.
Now I understand her question. Okay. So again, make it make sense. There needs to be a warning to the people at Hawkins County that if you happen to see Brandon's pasty face show up around your kids, it's a possibility that Brandon would do something if given the opportunity. Talk about irresponsible. And that 1 year he spent in the clink is horrible. Okay, we're going to get back to another section of the FOIA request that Trevor so bravely did.
Agent Cutshaw advised that she just added more detail to what she'd already told them. So she had kept everything the same. She had added some detail. She had then added that when they were on vacation with her great uncle, whose name is also marked out, and made a comment about an underage friend that was with her. He said words to the effect of, "I would like to have sex with her," and Brendan Lawson stated he had already had sex with her. Brendan Lawson is quoted as saying, "I bent her over on my basement steps." He's referring to another minor when he says this.
In my opinion, he should have gotten 20 years per victim. It's almost like he's proud of what he did. Bent her over the basement steps. Now we don't need any further talk on that. A year?
Yeah, and later, and not to foreshadow anything, but later when you have the document that shows the list of different incidents over the years, there should have, in my opinion, should have been more charges to begin with. There weren't just 4 incidents. They listed way more than that. So the fact that, and that 4 include 2 victims, there were more incidents than 4 with 1 victim, and you only gave him 4. And they completely disregarded all this section right here where they were looking into the statutory rape by an authority figure charge. They never charged it. They did a full investigation into it, said it was substantiated, and then never charged it.
Disgusting. And who would have made the decision not to charge it? That can only be one person, Dan Armstrong. He's the district attorney. When they hand the whole file over, it's up to him to make the charges. He's the DA.
They obtained information on the great uncle and the juvenile friend and went to go speak to them as well. They went to the residence of the great uncle, who was listed as a witness, and spoke with him. They said the event occurred 2 to 3 years prior. He stated that his family and the Lawson family had went to vacation, and they rented a house, and a friend of the victim was there. He stated that the girls shared the bathroom that he and the wife used, and that you had to pass through their bedroom to get to it. He said on one occasion, the female minor walked through the bedroom while he was in the bedroom, bent over and said, "What do you think?" He stated he told her to get out. Mr. Bean then told us a day or 2 after that happened, he was telling Brandon Lawson about the incident, to which Brandon replied, "I know, I've had that bent over on my steps before in my basement." So he is corroborating that statement as well. He is corroborating that statement as well from the victim. Guys, yeah, the sound may not actually be cutting out. I am pausing every now and then. This is a tough read, and for you guys and for myself, I just stop after a second, take a breath. So know that the sound is not cutting out. I'm just working my way through these through this document. I want to make sure we get this information out, but at the same time, respect the severity of this situation. Now, the verbal statement was given, it was reduced to writing, and Mr. Bean signed it. Now, you're going to see multiple years of these crimes listed. And again, please be prepared if we can make sure we have trigger warnings in. I know I keep saying that. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I just need you guys to know that this is tough to hear. with my experiences, it was a tough read. I feel like even without any, it's a tough read, but I know there are certain things that are triggering. So please be prepared. Second victim, again, there's a lot that we've already seen. These second victims, the things he did to her as well. A lot, again, is blocked out. One thing I wanted to point out is that she did ask for imprisonment, that he should get a full count on at least one charge. She does not believe that 1 year is good enough punishment. And I only point that out because I fully believe that victims in a plea deal like this, victims should be heard. Absolutely. Prayers, Nana, and you know I'm not far away at all. So if you guys need anything, you give me a call. And again, the child asked for a no, or the minor asked for a no contact order. Both victims did, and it's my knowledge that they did receive one. But again, she did ask for a full sentence on at least one charge, which unfortunately, as we know, was not given.
Look at those names. Okay, I don't care about the defense attorney because basically they just tell their clients not to talk and they try to argue what they can. District Attorney, Dan Armstrong, Court or Division, Hawkins, Defendant, Brandy Lawson. For the sake of fairness and conflict of interest, this should have been moved to another county. But I think we can all take a shot in the dark as to why it wasn't.
Yeah, nobody that even works alongside the sheriff, in my opinion, should have handled this case. Should have been a special prosecutor, I believe. Should have been an outside judge to begin with, because yes, they got a different judge, but that wasn't until Judge Duggar recused himself. Mm-hmm. Initially, he was going to prosecute this case, or preside over this case, and he presides in Hawkins County. He oversees cases of people Hawkins County arrests. So while Lawson's department directly took their hands off this, still, in my opinion, there were too many moving parts that are too close to Sheriff Lawson and to his department.
Way too close. About a year ago, the DA where I live, his daughter was having some kind of episode and, well, she stabbed her daddy. Anyhow, even though there's many, many prosecutors in that office, it got moved down to Muskogee County because they said it would be a huge conflict for it to be investigated in my county and for anyone in that office to prosecute it because, well, the district attorney is in that office. So it got moved to a totally different county. They said it wouldn't be right. This is beyond wrong. The judges knew, Dan Armstrong knew, Ronnie knew, Detective Evans knew. Who didn't know? The only person that isn't going to complain about it would be Brandon and the attorney, Mark Stapleton, because he knows his client's probably going to get out really darn fast.
And it's one thing, if this was a case of like theft or some petty crime and they handled it that way, it's one thing. But you can't have this in crimes against minors, against children. If that becomes a norm, then our children have no rights anymore. They lose They lose that. As victims, they lose any kind of rights to justice, because in court cases become standards. There's in the judicial system what they call precedent. And that's why we have a Supreme Court, because they set a precedent and then other courts have to follow that. So this in Hawkins County can now be looked at by other defense attorneys as a precedent. He got charged with 4 counts of this and you only gave him 1 year. So why should my client get X amount of years? How can this become a precedent for crimes against children?
Exactly. Marlena, I just put her comment up. She said, so now every time a perv gets arrested, they're going to argue, well, Brandon Lawson only got 1 year, and they're going to win that argument because a precedent has been set. Until you get a new DA that says doesn't matter, and you get a new sheriff, they need a house cleaning from top to bottom is what they need. But you're exactly right. And Marlena, you're exactly right. Because we spoke about it on the show when we first heard about Brandon, and we said, this now sets a precedent. It's only going to take one public defender to pull out this paperwork and say, but he got a year. Justice is supposed to be blind. Justice is not supposed to be different for the son of the sheriff compared to Joe Smo over here. Remember, justice is blind. It's not supposed to know the financial or political ties of the defendant. It's supposed to be blind. So what you have done, exactly, Trev, not you, what they have done in Hawkins County is they have now set a precedent. Takes me back to when Don was talking about when they figure out what happened to Summer, he doesn't want that person to go to jail. Because he said he's been to prison. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Trevor, please do. As I said, I'm only going to play part of this because I want you to watch it on his channel. Trevor, again, amazing work. Sorry to bother you during the middle of your exam. Was it for finger painting or are you learning your ABCs today?
I'm over my ABCs now. It was a tough one. I had to go all the way from A through E without my notes, but I got it.
Amazing. Because we know there's a couple of creators that for some reason don't seem to give Trevor the credit that he's a grown man. Well, Trevor, again, this was amazing work, and we're going to go through it again. Because this has set a precedent. I think we're going to go through the rest of it on Friday with some other things because we're going to be doing another show. Because believe it or not, unless some miracle happens between now and Friday, on Friday is 2.5 years since Summer Wells disappeared into thin air. Now, I know this has been a really, really hard show for many reasons. We try to keep everything as light around here as possible. Sometimes it's not possible. So how about some positivity before we get on with our Monday? Anybody up for it?
Let's do it.
Okay, this little lion that was just born decided to try to roar. Watch this because it's about the funniest thing you've ever seen. Well, I'm sure you've seen funnier. OJ, come here and watch this. Come on, OJ. Reminds me of on Lion King when Simba was trying to roar. He's like, rah.
Oh, I love Lion King.
Oh, I know. OJ does too. It's his favorite show. He gets really hacked off. Like this weekend, DT Driver and I were watching Killers of the Flower Moon. And for obvious reasons, they didn't have me in the movie. But anyway, OJ was getting real perturbed because he wanted to watch Lion King. So he just kept knocking stuff off, getting on DT Driver's shelf. I mean, you name it. It was just a horrific situation. So he'll have to watch Lion King today while I do the things I need to do. What a cute little lion. Now, that roar isn't always going to be a squeak. So quit sitting there saying, "Hey, kitty, you're so cute." Because one day, Kitty is not just going to be cute. He's going to be ferocious. Trevor, again, thank you for your hard work and your dedication, not just to the Summer Wells case, but to all the cases that you cover. I don't know how you find the time. Somebody said, "Who is DT?" My husband. When you see DT Driver in here, that's my husband. Let's give another huge round of applause to our friend Trevor for bringing out some extremely pertinent information. What was brought to the table is beyond important because it's a piece of the puzzle as far as law enforcement in Hawkins County goes. They're the ones overseeing the Summer Wells case. And I'm not saying that one child is more important than the other, but the children, we know that Summer is missing. We can't pick and choose who's more important. But it's a textbook example of how important children are to this law enforcement in Hawkins County, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. And I think it's, if people take anything away from it, it's that victims matter and these children matter, even when the justice system tries to tell us otherwise.
100%. And what can be done? Ronnie, I mean, if he gets a petition on his desk to get the hell out of town, or Dan Armstrong, they'll ask for 2 copies. One to read and one to wipe their ass with. They don't care.
Well, right now we're working to get it out. I mean, local media did not want to cover this when it happened. I have zero expectation that they'll cover this now, but we're going to get places outside of here to cover it, and then talking to federal agencies to hopefully get some eyes in it. That stuff is going on behind the scenes, but it's going on. It's not just getting these out there was step one, but there's work going on to get this exposed and looked at by the right people.
And that is amazing. Let me know, let all of us know whether you want to do it in the Facebook group, the mod group, the Discord, what we can do to help. It's a little tough when you're not a tax-paying citizen of a state. They kind of like to represent where their dollars come from. But whatever we can do to help, let us know.
Absolutely. And a lot of this is federal, so we can push it from nationwide. But I'll absolutely let y'all know as those things come up, and we'll keep the ball rolling on this.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for your tireless work. And I want to say thank you to all of you. We had a lot of gifted memberships today, a lot of support for the channel. I can't thank you guys enough because the channel is not me and my big mouth and my cat that bothers us during the show. The channel is all of you. Mods, days like this, I don't know how you do it, but our mod squad is the best. And also a lot of people on our mod squad are on Trevor's mod squad. So, hey, you're in good hands, at least for those 2 channels, correct?
Yeah, we've got a good team. I guess, like you said, we share a lot of them, and we share a lot of the chat, and that's no mistake. I think we both have great communities here.
What do they say? Your vibe is your tribe. So who you're surrounded by, that's kind of how you roll. So you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Thank you for being the best chat and best community on YouTube. And thank you again for being here. I will see you back here tomorrow morning. I think we're going to have a 2 for Tuesday, so buckle up. Love you guys.